True. Let's go to Karma Green, we steady on the rise. Digging truth from ancient scenes, we open blinded eyes. Rhyme sharp like pirates' lines, we break the bondage tight. Kamji speaking revolution, keep the fire burning. Chill drums guide our stride, we march with purpose proud. No more silence, we collide, our voices thunder loud. Politics and history, we stitch them in every verse. From Pharaoh's throne to Yaoundé streets, we claim the Kamji verse.
So I want to take this quick moment to just discuss just the beef between James Smalls and Marcus Vincent Thomas, aka Tariq Nasheed. And I think that this has been very interesting because James Smalls, though I wasn't a fan of the way that he treated, Brother Omowale Africa out of Philadelphia, I do see James Smalls as an elder who has contributed a lot to the struggle of the advancement of Black people. I do think that he has contributed some positive things. Now, I was able to watch, the live that he did with Ankh out of the Pseudo Killers and Dr. Mayat. And Dr. Mayat is also somebody who I've seen do some positive work, though, her association with, the Nasheedites and the fecal brain dissimulationists was troubling to me. I just found it interesting that there was a Hidden Colors bridge, like a Hidden Colors bridge to, the fecal brain dissimulationist. I thought that was kind of interesting. And there's a lot of Pan-Africanist identified individuals who do find it, necessary to collaborate with this group, right? So when James Smalls detailed how, a lot of the FBA that you see online is CIA, I don't know how anybody could deny this. This is pretty undeniable, honestly. I mean, just from calling the tethers and using that white supremacist slur to just denying the impact, the multi-generational impact of African solidarity, in the diaspora, it's obvious that many of these individuals are being supported by the Alphabet Boys. This is something that is incredibly obvious to me. And just to see all of the people, in the Coon Hack media, that's what I like to call them, the Coon Hack media, they call themselves the New Black Media, attacking Professor James Smalls, somebody who's put in the groundwork, just to have Black liberation in multiple continents, whether it's, the Americas, whether it's the Caribbean, Africa, Europe, just the willingness to throw him away just because he stated the obvious, in that when you have a bunch of anonymous accounts online, it's obvious that the Alphabet Boys are going to come in, swoop on in and, take the reins, right? That's extremely obvious. To deny that is a bit silly, right? And interestingly enough, Ankh, Bobby Banger, he goes by Robert West. We've actually had run-ins, in the past, and he is somebody who opposed my linking of classical and contemporary Africa, right? He's someone who comes from an atheist background, and he actually nearly excoriated Professor James Smalls for lending credence to the idea of pre-Columbian African contact. And those of y'all have been paying attention to my videos on this topic and just the myriad of primary sources from, paleobotany to pathogens to aerial diffusion or contact and the similarities linguistically to skeletal remains that are African in the whole Bay in the 12th century, to the BTM91 reported by Harvard's AADR, Allen Ancient DNA platform, the Ancient DNA Explorer. The list goes on and on. Just the myriad of primary source evidences, just linking these two populations, right? It's obviously clear that there was some contact. Many of these individuals who are Panos, Pan-Africanist in name only, They want to limit the African presence in the Western Hemisphere to the enslavement period, but I think that that's completely false. And it was just interesting to see, Ankh, try to excoriate James Smalls for that, right? But really what this shows is that many of these individuals are grifters. They're not serious, right? And when I visited the hidden hairline shop, right, that the fecal brain dissimulationists call a museum, I actually spoke to some of the brothers and sisters who were selling chicken and pork outside. And they knew about Claude Anderson. They knew about, James Small, who was in a mural on the outside wall, but they had no idea who Tariq Nasheed is. So it's obvious that he was using some of these master teachers to cling on, to their legacy, to promote his comedy room that he calls a museum. And he says he's going to remove like the artifact. I think there was like a little Etsy statue of James Smalls in the museum. And for those of y'all who are familiar with museums, usually a museum is a professional curator. This is a job that requires a master's degree. Usually they have artifacts or replicas, right? But none of any of these things is even anywhere to be found within the so-called museum, right? So, the fact that he said, he's going to remove James Smalls from the museum, he's removing any credibility, especially from a living, historian, a living figure, a living leader in the movement. So it just goes to show you that, it's not a legit museum, because if it was, it wouldn't be based upon political allegiances. It would be based upon what is history. And believe it or not, whether you want to agree with James Smalls or not, he is a historical figure. And I, for one, have had many different disagreements, with James Smalls over the years, just from some of his commentary and the way that he treated, again, Omawali Africa. I don't think that was good. I don't think that was positive. And we can't, neglect some of the financial incentives, especially from the hidden color circuit. A lot of these scholars weren't really getting play like that. So a lot of them linked to Mr. Thomas, aka Tariq Nasheed, in order to, get a name for themselves and put themselves out there and be able to get some commerce. So we can't ignore that at all. But, this is just a clear indication that, a lot of these bad actors, alphabet boys, they've been caught. Many of these FBA accounts are, fecal brain dissimulationists. They're white folks, there are people who are not even black. There are people who are just trying to instigate division, especially at this time. This is a time when, the U.S. empire is falling and, the black world would benefit from uniform solidarity. But you have these bad actors like, the fecal brain dissimulationists and MVT trying to take things in the opposite direction. So, my commentary on this is I wish James Smalls stood strong, but again, he wants to protect those who associate FBA with African American, even though it is an online retail store from the Tanzanite tree. He basically wants to protect those who identify with that as an ethnic label, right? And that's partially understandable. But overall, he was correct in what he stated. And, many of the individuals of the Coon Hack media, they've simply been exposed. They were never about, progress and development of black people. They're just a bunch of grifters riding the wave of a, popular coonological tendency. They never really had it in them to be about black liberation. And at this point, they've been completely exposed as scammers. So we're going to pay close attention to this, this content, this stream of thought, this information. And I'm going to give y'all updates as soon as they come. That's all I got for y'all on this one. Hope to catch you on the next one. Peace.
Truths go to comma green, we steady on the rise. Digging truth from ancient scenes, we open blinded eyes. Rhyme sharp like pirates' lines, we break the bondage tight. Kamji speaking revolution, keep the fire burning. Big drums guide our stride, we march with purpose proud. No more silence, we collide, our voices thunder loud. Politics and history, we stitch them in every verse. From Pharaoh's throne to Yaoundé streets, we claim the Kamji verse.